But there's this obsession with it's Catholics that run it all, or it's Jews that run it all, or it's this group. But when you look at it, it doesn't matter if it's Jews, Protestants, Catholics, Hindus, Japanese, Chinese. The top families are all part of this power structure and all push for the same thing. And I see it as very destructive. But I see this major eugenics, I don't want to say Nazi, because as you mentioned, it was just an offgrowth of this. This scientific dictatorship eugenics movement is at the heart of it. That's what it's all about, a super race. And then you have this big movement that, no, it's Rothschilds, it's Jews, they run it all. And then you do see powerful Jewish families supporting the eugenics movement, even though they get stung by it. So this is a very, I don't want to call it Nazi death cult, because, again, it predates that. But so what is the main power makeup of the New World Order?
Well, it's a one-world government. The one-world government composed of the members of the Committee of 300 inside a new world order where they propose to change every government in the world and make it submit to this new world order government, and that's the one world government. That's exactly what they're trying to do.
And
they don't want to have countries like the United States and China. They want a one world government where loyalty to nationality will no longer be an issue.
And so it's not, from your research, a racial conspiracy, it's an idea.
It's an idea. It's an idea that they said time has come, and they're running behind their timetable because there's been a lot of opposition. For instance, Stalin, as bad a guy as he was, had his good points. He threw a spanner in the works of this. He said, I'm not going to be beholden, a great country like Russia, to a bunch of cosmopolitans meeting in New York. And he said, we'll fight them to the end. And that's exactly what he did. And, of course, Russia today is still a thorn in the side of the flesh of this organization because they have not joined it. In spite of the pressure to wreck the economy, which very nearly succeeded at one stage. But thanks to Putin coming in, they managed to pull themselves around. And you can know the vast, vast natural resources. Russia should be one of the greatest countries in the world. But they've been robbed blind by people in the past, these enormous, powerful combines.
Well, I mean, specifically, from my research, when the globalist puppet was kicked out, then you got the drunken semi-puppet who was then replaced by his vice president, Putin. So Boris Yeltsin, from my research, was a puppet, did let the banking oligarchs come in and take over.
He did.
But then Putin kicked them back, kicked them out of the nation. That's
what he did. Yes, that's exactly what happened. Yeltsin was a drunken puppet, and he lived in a alcoholic haze all of his life, his adult life anyway, and Russia was teetering on the very, very brink when Putin came to power. And he cancelled all these monopolies, and all of these international bankers fled. Many of them fled to England. Most of them went to Israel. And Berezovsky is the big man in England who runs the show there. He owns football clubs and enormous property holdings. He's an extremely wealthy man. And the Russians have asked repeatedly for England to extradite him to Russia, and they refused to do so.
You know, you'd think for all of Russia's power, they could do something about Mr. Berezovsky.
Well, they did go over and assassinate one guy who was close to him. They poisoned him with plutonium, a terrible death. But they've not been able to get near to him. He lives in a guarded compound, and he never goes around except with about 10 or 12 bodyguards. And usually Russia does not like to commit atrocities in public. If they're going to assassinate a guy, it's done in secret. And I spoke to one of the Russian generals myself once, and he didn't want to say too much about it. He said, but they don't believe in making a spectacle when they want to get rid of somebody.
Though the Committee of 300 does like to make a spectacle, I've noticed.
Oh, yes, it does. But as I said, Russia's been a thorn in the side of the Committee of 300 for many, many years. From Stalin's days, they refused to obey the dictates of the committee, and it cost them dearly. You know, it's interesting, Albert Gore's been in the news lately, and his father actually got many of the concessions that were given out by Yeltsin, and grew extremely rich from that.
It's amazing. Now, again, going back to Russia, this has got to be upsetting the New World Order clan. Now, from my research, though, the committee did help knock off their cousin, the Tsar, and did help put the Bolsheviks in, or is that incorrect from your research?
No, that's absolutely correct. They did do that. They did get rid of the royal family of the Tsars, because the Tsars were trying to Christianize Russia, and that they didn't want. They wanted a nation of non-Christian people, so that they could easily get in and completely compromise the whole situation.
Because they found that statistically real Christians will create amazing, independent local wealth and strong families, correct?
That's exactly why they wanted to get rid of them. And if you notice that all of the Bolshevik leaders were actually non-Russian people, every one of them. All the people who fomented the Bolshevik Revolution were non-Russian nationals. In other words, they were born in Russia, but they were able to speak Russian, but they were not of the soil of Russia. They were not actually Russian.
All right, shifting gears yet again in the time we've got, and I want to get you back up in the next few weeks. I don't know how it's been years, I think 8 years since we've had you on.
That's right.
You just blink and decades flash past. But in the time we've got left, you do concur with many of the other experts we have on and the globalists on statements that they're in trouble. How much trouble, from your expert analysis, are they in, and what are you concerned about being their next move?
The next move, I'm afraid of being concerned that they will try to bring in totalitarian government in through the back door. And if you look at many of the bills and measures that Obama has passed, these smack of socialism to a degree I've never seen before in American politics. And this is the kind of sneaky backdoor entrance that they hope to make. So, an alert populace will resist whatever is trying to upset their way of life. But a sleeping giant like the American people would not easily stop this. So they're trying to lull them into a false sense of security. And I think that the pronouncements and the measures that have been passed by the Obama administration are the most socialistic I've ever encountered in America's history.
Well, we're seeing open pushes to shut down free speech. We're seeing naked body scanners where they admit they record your naked body now to break our will. The paramilitarization of police, the open federalization of police, all these leaders pushing for the secret arrest of citizens, the extrajudicial stripping of our citizenship. I mean, that's 110% bona fide tyranny.
It is. But you see, what they are striving to do is to abolish the Constitution altogether. But if they can't do that in one fell swoop, then what they're trying to do is abolish the states' rights, the 10th Amendment. And they think that this way people will be much less powerful and they'll be much more vulnerable for a takeover. And if you look at all the measures that have been aimed against state government, it's very, very alarming.
Well, it's all designed to bankrupt them and turn them into vassal serfs. We're going to break. That's why it's so important people get the film Don't Tread on Me, Rise of the Republic, with myself, Michael Bagnerick, Richard Mack, Charles Key, Cynthia Davis, Edwin Vieira, and others. This will teach you the difference between a republic and a democracy. This will show you how we get sheriffs elected, how we take the states back. As Victor Hugo said, no army can stop an idea whose time has come.
Exactly.
If you will simply carry the ball, folks, we are unstoppable. Get Don't Tread on Me at Infowars.com. Get the book Committee of 300 at Coleman300.com. Final amazing segment with our guest straight ahead